I had a crush on my childhood friend for 7 years, but on the day I confessed, I saw him kissing my best friend. Even his roommate couldn't stand it and claimed me as his girlfriend on the spot, and even exposed my best friend's self-directed allergy act in public. However, everyone thought I would make a humiliating exit, but I turned around and accepted the top student who had a crush on me for years. It was the 7th year of my secret crush on my childhood friend. Encouraged by my best friend, I carried flowers and a cake and took an overnight train to confess to him. But in the bustling basketball court, I saw them kissing. My childhood friend put his arm around my best friend and asked me coldly, "What are you doing here? Can't you see I'm busy?" I was a mess, just about to explain. His roommate next to him chuckled, "My girlfriend brought me a cake. What's it to you?" When I found the basketball court with the cake, Jason Smith was pressing my best friend Jessica Miller against the railing and kissing her. Jessica was only stunned for a moment before she hugged Jason back. They kissed passionately. The weather was scorching. I stood outside the basketball court, feeling a bit lightheaded from an all-night train ride, and the cheers around me felt like they were about to burst my eardrums. We just bet on whether Jason could win over Jessica. They've been flirting for so long, it's about time they got together. Come on, pay up. Hearing this, my hands, holding flowers and a cake, suddenly lost all strength. On my phone was a text message Jessica had just sent me. "Jason's at the basketball court. Hurry and confess." The sky was overcast, and the wind picked up. I endured the embarrassment and disappointment, quickly running out of the basketball court. Jessica's anxious voice came from behind me. She was almost crying. "Jennifer, it's not like that. Let me explain. I had been on a train for a day and a night. I was tired and felt wronged. I didn't want to bother thinking about why Jessica would kiss the person I was supposed to confess to on the very day she encouraged me to confess, but my clothes were still pulled. Jessica's originally rosy cheeks were a little pale. She frantically pushed Jason towards me, her voice filled with uncontrollable grievance. "Jennifer, let Jason talk to you." Jason held Jessica's hand back and asked indifferently, "What's all this fuss about? Do you really want to give your boyfriend away?" Jessica stubbornly pulled at me, showing no intention of letting go. But her hand also didn't pull away from Jason's. The scene froze for a moment. Jason saw Jessica's tears, his eyes darkened, and he turned to me, accusingly. "Who told you to come? Can't you see I'm busy?" I had traveled for a day and a night by train, feeling anxious and sleepless, only to be met with a cold dismissal. The words I wanted to say were now stuck. I pulled away from Jessica's hand, ready to slink away. Suddenly, a cold and calm voice came from beside me. "I told her to come. What's wrong?" A tall figure appeared not far away. He lazily lifted his eyelids and looked at me. "You even delivered the gift to the wrong person. Come here." I didn't expect to see Luke Dawson again in such a situation. The last time we met was 3 years ago, when Luke gave a speech as the top science student in our school. When I handed him the trophy, I tripped on the red carpet and fell, trophy and all. Later, he and Jason went to the same university and became roommates. It seems every time we meet, I make a fool of myself. Jason was a little displeased. "Luke, you don't need to bother with her. Tell her to go back where she came from." As soon as the words left his mouth, Luke chuckled softly. "Did you misunderstand something? My girlfriend came to deliver a cake. What's it to you?" Because of that sentence, that night, I, as Luke's girlfriend, appeared at Jason's birthday party. The atmosphere was a bit subtle. Jessica kept looking at me, forgetting to eat several times. "Why are you looking at her?" Jason frowned. "Eat more. Don't be afraid. No one can bully you." The emotions I had suppressed for a long time finally erupted. I stared intently at Jason. "Explain yourself. What did I do to bully her?" Jason's face was grim, and he didn't speak. I then turned to Jessica and asked, "Are you afraid of me? Did you do something to offend me?" Jessica shook her head. "No." Luke handed me a glass of watermelon juice and said nonchalantly, "If you're timid, don't bring her out to meet people." He then grabbed a handful of pistachios. "Peel them gently. Don't scare people to death." Pfft. A few people around couldn't hold back and burst out laughing. Jessica's face was a bit pale, and she excused herself to go to the restroom and ran out. For the latter half of the birthday party, I was tired and sleepy and planned to leave early. Just as Luke was on the phone, I got up and followed him out. I wanted to thank Luke. I had traveled a long way, and he had helped me out when I was most embarrassed and helpless. The light outside the corridor was dim. Luke was on the phone at the end of the corridor. His clear, cold voice was slightly lowered, echoing through the corridor. Only then did I realize that he was the student union president of his school and had other plans for the evening. But he had postponed them to attend this gathering. I stood a few steps away, waiting for him to finish his call. Luke saw me, and his voice paused. "I'll call you back later." He hung up and turned to ask me, "What's wrong?" "Thank you for tonight." Luke sat down by the windowsill, staring at me silently. Just as I thought I had something on my face, Luke suddenly asked, "Do you want to go to the amusement park tomorrow? With me? Otherwise?" Luke asked with a half smile, "Didn't you post on your moments that you wanted to go to the amusement park? You can't come all this way for nothing." The wind outside blew his messy black hair, and the hem of his white shirt swayed back and forth. He just looked at me lazily, yet it brought up the grievances I had so painstakingly suppressed. I suddenly lowered my head and wiped the corners of my eyes. "Thank you. Then I'll treat you to dinner tomorrow." Luke didn't speak for a long time. Just when I thought he was going to mock me for being a crybaby, he suddenly drawled, "All right, girlfriend." Luke left early because of student council matters. I came out of the restroom and ran into Jessica at the door. There were teeth marks on her lips, and as soon as she saw me, tears streamed down her face. "I'm sorry, Jennifer. I didn't expect things to turn out this way. Can you forgive me?" I just felt disgusted. I brushed her hand away, pulled out my phone, and asked, "How much did it cost to book the hotel? I'll transfer the money to you." Jessica was stunned. "Jennifer, I'm sorry. I forgot to book a hotel for you." Her voice sounded as if it was muffled by a layer of mist. It made me think I had misheard. Was this still the best friend I had treated with sincerity? She had taken it upon herself to say she would help me book a hotel, telling me to just buy a ticket and come. Now this happens. "Jessica, you did this on purpose, didn't you?" Jessica said awkwardly, "I'm sorry, all the rooms near the school were fully booked at the time, and Jason was relentlessly pursuing me, so I forgot. Why don't you stay in my dorm tonight?" I didn't want to deal with her anymore and turned to leave. Jessica, however, grabbed my arm. "Jennifer, I forgot to tell you. Luke has a girl he likes. Just now he was trying to help you out of a difficult situation. Don't overthink it. I'm afraid you'll get hurt again." I looked at her carefully crafted green tea act and suddenly felt annoyed, shaking off her hand. Jessica, caught off guard, fell weakly and heavily to the ground. I forced a sarcastic smile. "Are you a worm in Luke's stomach, knowing what he's thinking?" Jessica lowered her head, not speaking, but her breathing suddenly became heavy. Jason rushed out from who knows where, pushed me roughly aside, and embraced Jessica, who had collapsed into his arms, saying coldly, "Does the cake you brought have mango in it?" Seeing me stare at him coldly, Jason became enraged. "Don't you know Jessica is allergic to mangoes? Are you trying to kill her?" At that moment, I was surprised to see Jessica's lips turning purple. I knew she was allergic to mangoes, but the mangoes Jessica had specifically asked me to put in. She said, "Jason loves mangoes the most." At 1 a.m., Jessica was sent to the hospital next door. The doctor sighed, "Knowing you're allergic, why eat it? Do you not value your life?" Jason suddenly turned his head, his face grim, and looked at me standing by. "Jessica is still lying in there. Are you satisfied?" I took a deep breath and retorted, "Jason, do you have no brain? Jessica clearly knew there were mangoes in it. She couldn't control herself. What does that have to do with me?" Jason's gaze grew even colder. "Jennifer Delaney, stop pretending. Don't think I don't know why you're here this time. Does me being with her bother you that much? Did you deliberately buy a mango cake to harm her?" Looking at the person in front of me who was making baseless accusations, at that moment, I clearly realized that I regretted it. Back then, when Jason stayed after school every day to tutor me in math, encouraged me to apply to the same university as him, and joked about what I would do without him, I shouldn't have thought that Jason liked me. At this moment, I hadn't slept for a day and a night. The heavy fatigue made my heart start to palpitate. I closed my eyes and took a moment to compose myself, then pulled out my phone and unhesitatingly dialed 110. Just as it was about to connect, Jason suddenly snatched my phone and threw it to the ground. "Enough! How long are you going to keep this up?" I looked at the shattered phone on the ground, slowly squatted down, and picked up the pieces. Then I threw them all at Jason's face. I had a crush on him for 7 years, but that doesn't mean I have no dignity. "Doctor, please help me call the police." I had reached my limit, and my vision was blurring. Just as I was about to fall backward, a pair of hands steadily supported me. The clean scent of soap, mixed with a hint of mint, went straight into my nose. Luke's cool, clear voice came from above me. "She ate very little for dinner. She might have low blood sugar. Please have the doctor check on her." In my hazy state, I seemed to hear a dialing sound. Luke's cold voice faintly reached me. "Hello, I want to report a crime." After the doctor gave me a packet of glucose, I recovered. Luke had finished his call and was staring at Jessica, neither warm nor cold. Jessica, feeling guilty, shrank into Jason's arms. I only tasted a little, and the cake was there for people to eat anyway. Luke said expressionlessly, "But the doctor said you didn't look like you only ate a little. It's better to wait until we check the surveillance footage and explain it clearly to the police." When I was in high school, I knew Jessica was easily scared. She'd even walk crookedly when she saw a police officer on the street. She always hid behind me. This time, the police coming scared Jessica so much she couldn't move. I told the police the whole story in detail. The police pointed at her in the video, having eaten 3 slices of cake, and asked, "You knew you were allergic and you ate 3 slices? You couldn't taste the big mango filling?" Jessica's face turned pale with fright. She just kept apologizing. "I'm sorry, I was just greedy. It won't happen again." She lowered her head helplessly, silently shedding tears. Jason's heart softened again. "All right, just fix your greedy habit next time." His attitude was completely different from when he had just angrily reprimanded me. Jessica's eyes reddened, and she was about to seek comfort from Jason. I, however, took Luke's phone and showed Jason the QR code. "Jessica ate my cake, and you broke my phone. In front of the police and doctors, pay up." Luke, suddenly cued, let out a sound. "I can testify. My girlfriend indeed suffered financial loss." Jason's face was extremely grim. "Jennifer, you're going to quibble with me over this? You told me to get lost. Should I still thank you for breaking my phone?" With the police present, Jason quickly transferred the money to me. But when he saw Luke helping me leave, his face suddenly darkened. After leaving the hospital, I walked a long way down the small alley in front of the door. I walked faster and faster. It wasn't until I turned a corner and saw the empty street that I squatted on the ground, burying my face between my knees. The summer night was silent. The purple sea of lilac stretched out from behind the mottled iron fence of the old residential complex. A gust of wind blew, and petals drifted down. The streetlights were dim. There were only 2 shadows on the ground. Me, squatting, and Luke, standing. Luke said, "It's okay, cry. I'll keep your secret." The emotions I'd suppressed all day finally broke, and my sobs echoed through the lilac vines, reverberating in the empty street corner at night. Before coming, I had prepared myself. Being rejected wouldn't be the end of the world. At least I'd still have Jessica with me. On the way here, Jessica and I chatted animatedly, from food to popular tourist spots, even discussing which bar we'd go to if the confession failed. But all day, I had endured Jason's humiliation and Jessica's betrayal. My emotions couldn't hold up anymore. Luke stood not far behind me, perfectly avoiding my direct gaze, allowing me to hide my disheveled face. After standing for a while, I finally stood up, my eyes swollen. "Thank you for today." Luke didn't look into my eyes but stared at his phone, casually humming in response. "It's 3 hours until dawn. Get some good sleep. Can we reschedule the amusement park for the day after tomorrow?" I croaked, "Okay." Just then, a police car drove by and stopped in front of us. The window rolled down, and the person inside greeted Luke familiarly. "Little Luke, is this your friend?" Luke hummed. "She couldn't book a hotel. Aunt Emily said she could stay with her tonight. Could you please take her there?" "Don't worry, get in." Seeing me stare at him blankly, Luke calmly explained. "I was afraid you wouldn't feel safe, so I asked my uncle to give you a ride. It was then that I realized he was afraid I wouldn't trust him, so he simply found a relative who was a police officer to take me to a reliable place for the night." I opened my mouth, realizing I had said thank you many times tonight, so I changed my words. "The day after tomorrow, I'll treat you to dinner." Luke smiled, as if he knew what I was thinking, and said, "You've said that before too." Seeing my embarrassment, he opened the door for me. "All right, see you the day after tomorrow." The door closed, and before I could even say goodbye to him, Luke had already become a silhouette in the gradually receding scenery. I never expected Aunt Emily to live in the family quarters next to the police station. I slept soundly for a whole day and night, and when I opened my eyes, I saw a message from Luke. "Wake me up when you're awake." I was stunned for a moment, then suddenly jumped up and quickly put on my clothes. Today I had an appointment with Luke to go to the amusement park, and I also had to treat him to dinner. I was going to be late. When I rushed to the amusement park, Luke was sitting on a bench by the road. His long legs were casually stretched out on the empty ground in front of him. His posture was lazy and relaxed. The sun was just right, filtering through the treetops and falling on him, like a layer of fine gold dust. I ran out of breath. "When did you get here?" Luke put a sun hat on me, his voice filled with laughter. "Just now. Not too early. Not too late, girlfriend." Then he naturally took my hand. My whole body stiffened. Luke leaned closer to me and whispered, "Don't look back. Jason is behind us." Sure enough, I heard Jessica's voice and secretly felt unlucky. How could I run into these two annoying people everywhere? So I actively leaned towards Luke, pressing against his arm. "Let's go to the haunted house." Jessica was timid and usually avoided such places. But when the staff grouped us, I saw Jessica walk in, holding Jason's hand. "Jennifer, I called you just now. You didn't hear me." Jason's gaze paused on my hand intertwined with Luke's, then coldly moved away, and he said to Luke, "Team up?" Luke looked at me. I said, "I have no objection." Of course, Luke had no objection either, so the four of us were assigned to the same path. As we entered the passage, the light dimmed. Jessica, scared, shrank into Jason's arms. "Jason, I'm so scared." Actually, I was scared too, but for the sake of appearances, I didn't want to get too close to Luke. I just held his hand tightly. My steps hurried. Sensing the slight sweat in my palm, Luke tightened his grip. "Slow down, we'll get out." I nodded, but the cold wind blowing on my back still made me unconsciously quicken my pace. Suddenly, Jessica's scream came from a corner. I shivered, and Luke pulled me back, holding me in his arms. The cold air around me disappeared. Instead, there was Luke's warm body. Shh. His warm breath brushed against my earlobe. His lips seemed to touch me. "The ghost is over there. You almost ran into it just now." Jessica over there was already crying from fear. I couldn't care less about being reserved. I hugged Luke's waist tightly and whispered, "Don't let him come over. Please, don't let him come over." Luke seemed to smile. "Okay." The sound of chains seemed to gradually come from behind me. Luke pressed my head into his arms and said with a smile to the NPC, "Buddy, let us go, okay? My girlfriend is timid." The other party let out an unwilling roar, dragging the chains and cursing as he left. After the NPC left, Luke was still holding me. Our heartbeats echoed each other. There was also a low, gentle panting mixed in. It was only then that I realized we were being a bit ambiguous. "Can you still walk?" Luke's voice was very low, almost a whisper. My face felt a little hot, and I was about to let go. "I'm sorry. Luke grabbed my hand back tightly. "There's nothing to be sorry about." This sentence was like a feather, gently falling on my heart. His palm suddenly felt a little burning. I looked up and met Jason's gaze from next door. It was obscure and difficult to understand. Then he looked away. For the rest of the way, the NPCs didn't bother us, but Jessica's screams were frequent. Luke led me out, and we had a few close calls but made it through safely. Because my arm was covered in dust, I went to the restroom to clean up. Jessica followed me in. "Jennifer, why haven't you been talking to me since just now?" In the bright light of the restroom, I realized that she had dressed up carefully today, wearing a small dress suitable for photos, and was looking at me with a wronged expression. I dried my hands and turned to leave. Jessica suddenly raised her voice. "Jennifer, did you ever really consider me a friend? I thought you'd be happy for us." That hit a nerve, and I turned my head, retorting sarcastically, "Jessica, where's your brain?" Jessica seemed provoked by me. "You had a crush on Jason, I know, but whose fault is it that you didn't get into the same university as us? I was keeping an eye on Jason for you every day, and I developed feelings too. Then why did you egg me on to confess?" "Because I was about to lose control of my feelings. I never intended to be with him, but he suddenly came over and kissed me, and you know, I can't refuse. Enough." I interrupted Jessica. "You're innocent, weak and afraid of trouble. You can't refuse when someone confesses to you. You secretly indulge but dare not admit it, and in the end, I'm the one who has to bear the consequences. What right do you have to ask me to be your friend?" Jessica stared with red-rimmed eyes, silent. Jason's voice came from outside. "Jessica, are you ready?" Jessica wiped away a tear and whispered, "It's all my fault. I'm sorry to all of you. I'll break up with him, okay?" With that, she pushed open the door and ran out without looking back. Jason only heard the last sentence. He suddenly grabbed me, pinching me painfully. "What did you say to Jessica?" "Nothing much, just that we're not friends anymore." Jason laughed in anger. "Jennifer, aren't you childish? Are you using breaking off our friendship to force her to break up with me?" "I didn't force her with a knife, nor am I her mother. If she wants to break up with you, it means you're not charming enough. What does that have to do with me? Jason seemed unusually assertive today, pulling me outside. If you can't find her, don't bother looking around anymore. Are you crazy? I bought a ticket to get in, and you want to kick me out? I'm calling the police. Jennifer, who do you think you are? His face completely darkened. You messed up my life, drove my girlfriend away, and I don't even have the right to ask you to leave? He abruptly dragged me in front of the carousel. Pointing to someone not far away, he said, "See that? That's Luke's girlfriend." Luke was standing in the dappled sunlight. A girl in a JK skirt ran off the carousel, smiling as she snatched the cola Luke had bought for me. Luke just looked helpless. Jason pulled out his phone and brought up his chat history with Luke. Do you think he just magically knew you had nowhere to stay that night? I looked at his chat with Luke. Jason, bro, my girlfriend's here, can't leave. Help me take care of Jennifer. She has nowhere to stay tonight. Luke replied with an okay. Jason put his phone away. Now, do you still think Luke likes you? Staying here will only continue to cause trouble for all of us. I admit that I'm not brave enough when it comes to relationships. Otherwise, I wouldn't have harbored a secret crush for 7 years. I didn't want to go through that again. So, ignoring Jason's sarcasm, I walked towards Luke. A few steps away, Luke noticed me. The girl in front of him was talking excitedly, and Luke pressed her head down, hiding her behind him. Who is she? Luke pursed his lips. Before he could speak, the girl behind him suddenly leaned out. Hi, I'm Luke's sister. You must be my sister-in-law, right? My carefully prepared emotions suddenly vanished, leaving only bewilderment. Your sister? Luke expressionlessly pushed the girl a short distance away. Didn't you say your friend was waiting for you? Stay away from us. Oh! For some reason, Luke was a bit serious. The girl walked a couple of steps, then suddenly darted back, rattling off. Are you Jennifer? My brother really likes you. He still has the yearbook you wrote for him when you graduated. She was thrown 2 meters away, still shouting sister-in-law at me. Luke and I were both awkwardly frozen in place. The carousel started spinning again. Laughter filled the air. I felt Luke's gaze on my face. His tone was light. She's shameless. Don't take what she says to heart. I stared at my toes and hummed, then my drink. She extorted it from me. I'll buy you another one. Is it about the yearbook? Luke choked, then took my hand without warmth or coldness, and replied, Yes, it's about the yearbook. I still remember Luke's yearbook vividly. On the eve of graduation, the class monitor suddenly walked in with a stack of checkered paper. These are Luke's. Everyone can write some graduation messages if you have time. It's really strange. Such a cool person, yet he likes this. But he prepared small gifts. Students who finish filling it out can come to me to get them. At that time, Luke and I weren't close yet. Amidst the class monitor's chatter, I wrote down happy graduation, bright future, and signed my name at the bottom of the page. I also received Luke's gift. It was my favorite keychain at the time. Remembering this, I smiled and said, Yearbooks are for kids, why would we use them in high school? After all, smartphones had been popular for a long time by then. The wind rustled the lavender by the roadside. The fragrance was rich and elusive. Luke's voice blended into the wind. For your name. I didn't quite hear him. For what? Luke didn't answer. He was smiling. So I smiled too. The sun set. The central square was full of people. It was said that there would be grand and splendid fireworks after dark. I picked a spot with an excellent view and pulled Luke down to sit on the ground. Night fell. The brilliant sunset glow was gradually replaced by the inky darkness. The rising and falling human voices all around, mixed with the gentle sound of the wind and the chirping of insects, supported the noisy midsummer night. I received a call from Jessica. She cried on the phone and asked me, Can you forgive me? Jennifer, I know I'm sorry, and I won't get back together with Jason until you forgive me, okay? Compared to the anger I felt when I first learned of my best friend's betrayal, I was much calmer now. Are you emotionally blackmailing me? If I don't agree, I become the sinner who caused you to lose your love, and I'm domineering and selfish. Is that it? On the other end of the phone, only Jessica's sobs remained. She really did think that way. I smiled, a sense of powerlessness in my voice. Jessica, it's just a man. If you like him, he's yours, but you shouldn't have lied to me and played me. This, I can never forgive. Do you understand? After hanging up the phone, Luke handed me a peeled orange. It's starting. As the music began, a brilliant firework burst open in the night sky. A huge castle stood in the twilight. Dazzling. This bitter, unrequited love, which spanned 7 years and occupied my entire youth, finally came to an end tonight. I turned my head and found that Luke was also looking down at me. A leaf was stuck to his forehead. The scene was bustling with people, and the music was deafening. If I spoke now, he probably wouldn't hear me, right? So I pointed to my own forehead. Luke was stunned. As the music drew to a close, a dozen brilliant and grand fireworks flew into the sky. Bang! Under the dazzling lights, Luke leaned down and kissed my forehead. A strange tingling sensation spread from my forehead, gradually encompassing my entire body, freezing me in place. The surroundings slowly darkened. The streetlights flickered back on. The cheerful music of the distant carousel filled my ears once more. The surrounding audience members rose to their feet. Only Luke and I remained still. Is Jason behind us? I felt Luke's slightly warm gaze, and I kept my head down, not daring to move. Luke chuckled. He's not here. My heart skipped a beat. Then just because he's not here, I can't kiss you? While Luke went to buy ice cream, I sat restlessly on a nearby bench. To be honest, I'd never been in a relationship. My closest contact with a boy was sitting next to Jason, our knees and hands accidentally brushing when he was explaining problems to me. Tonight's events were clearly beyond my experience. I was looking down, posting online, asking what to do in this situation. Suddenly, someone stood in front of me. Are you two really together? Jason's voice was low. This was a prelude to his anger. Does it concern you? How does it not concern me? Your parents know you came to find me, so I'm responsible for your safety. Seeing my silence, he sighed. Jennifer, can you stop being so willful? Not everyone can be in a relationship. Be good, go home. I looked at him expressionlessly. I know not everyone can. Luke isn't just anyone. Jason's face darkened. But you clearly... I saw the unwillingness in his eyes. I retorted, what do I clearly? I clearly liked you for 7 years, and now I like someone else. You think that shouldn't be the case? This was the first time I laid it all out in front of Jason. Jason's expression visibly stiffened. He pursed his lips tightly, saying nothing. I stood up. So, what do you think I should be like? Seeing you and Jessica together, being pathetic in your impatience and slinking away? Jason said stiffly, no. Jennifer, if you get into graduate school here, I can consider being with you. I smiled. He clearly knew that my major would have better development in the north. What about Jessica? What's your attitude towards her? Jason retorted, what do you think? If I liked her, I would have made a move long ago. Why would I wait until the day you arrived? After he spoke, he didn't see the emotion he expected on my face. I raised my hand and slapped him cleanly. Jason was stunned, covering his face. Jennifer, you. Asterisk slap. Asterisk. Another slap. Just as I raised my hand to deliver the third slap, Jessica rushed out from somewhere and stood in front of Jason. She shrank her neck in fear and accused me with a trembling voice. Jennifer, have you hit enough? He's my boyfriend now. What right do you have to hit him? I looked at the couple in front of me and suddenly felt a little ridiculous. Jessica must have heard what Jason and I just said. She should also know that half of those 2 slaps I gave were for her. Yet she chose to defend Jason. Jessica. I called her by her nickname for the first time since that day. I've always wondered what kind of man could possibly come between us. Now I know, because you're good enough for him. After saying that, I slapped Jessica again. Hold on to your man tightly and never let go for the rest of your life. It wasn't until I left the amusement park that I suddenly remembered I seemed to have left Luke inside. I called Luke. After he picked up, there was only the quiet chirping of insects on a summer night. I felt a little awkward. I'm sorry. Something came up just now, and I forgot about you. Luke chuckled. I saw it. Those slaps were really satisfying. I sat down on a small flower bed by the roadside. Staring idly at the small pebbles on the road, I said, Luke, I'm going back to Beijing. My major might be better in the north. I didn't say the rest. Jason was actually right. Long-distance relationships are too difficult. Not to mention, Luke and I weren't even at the boyfriend-girlfriend stage yet. Jennifer, look up. I looked up and saw Luke standing under the street lamp, holding an ice cream cone, smiling at me. My heart slowly rose. Then it beat rapidly. Thump, 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 thump. The next second, Luke's gentle voice drowned out the sound of the wind. It came from both the earpiece and across the path simultaneously. I like you. Next year, I'll test into Beijing. So don't worry. My heart suddenly skipped a beat, followed by a not-so-intense sweetness that slowly spread through me. Luke smiled and said, I was afraid confessing too soon would scare you, but now, it seems I can't not confess. I didn't mean to force you to leave here. My face quickly flushed, and I turned my head, muttering, you didn't force me. I did it voluntarily. Luke took my hand, avoiding the crowded front door. We talked a lot. Life plans, future expectations. We were still reluctant to part even when we reached Aunt Emily's building. Before we said goodbye, I still said, Luke, don't make your life decisions because of me. The wind gradually died down, and the colorful barber pole at the street corner spun dizzyingly. Luke nodded. Don't worry, I won't. After that, I returned to Beijing. I started busy preparing for the postgraduate entrance exam. Mid-Autumn Festival arrived in a blink of an eye. Luke was busy applying for postgraduate studies and couldn't come home. I was also swamped in Beijing. We didn't get a chance to meet. I thought we wouldn't see each other. That evening, I suddenly received a call from Luke. I'm at the airport. I was stunned. Which airport? Beijing Airport? It had just rained in Beijing a few days ago, and today it had just cleared up. The dry heat filled the air, but it couldn't extinguish the restlessness in my heart. I quickly put on my clothes. I'll come pick you up. No need, Luke said. You just wait for me at school. My roommates had heard about my previous encounters early that morning and were all clamoring to see Luke. So, at dusk, just as the sun dipped below the horizon, Luke, holding a bouquet of flowers, walked towards me, away from the crowd, under the scrutiny of my roommates. My dorm leader's eyes widened. Holy cow, he's so handsome! Everyone, retreat! Leave the kissing time for the lovebirds! She shouted that quite loudly. Luke heard it from afar and was amused. I awkwardly touched my nose. Don't mind them, they usually like to joke around. Luke hummed, handed me the flowers, then leaned down and kissed me on the lips. My face instantly flushed crimson. This was right at the school gate. Was that a teacher from Luke's school behind him? There were also many classmates I knew around. Luke's kiss was brief, and at the end, he stroked my head. I missed you. Me too. I stood frozen, holding the flowers, stumbling over my words. Handsome, I left all the time for you. Why was the kiss so short? The dorm leader ran over, smiling. Do you know who our Jennifer is? A top student, beautiful and kind-hearted, popular. Her admirers stretch from here to the South Pole. Ask around how many people don't know her. As soon as she finished speaking, the students coming out of the school gate to buy food or pick up packages started cheering. A few younger male students, blushing, called out to me, Jennifer, we like you too. Luke smiled. Sorry, I confessed earlier than you. Your senior, Jennifer, likes me now. The crowd gradually dispersed. I turned my head and saw Jason still standing behind. They seemed to have come as a whole team. Jason stood aloof in an empty spot, smoking. I remembered he never used to smoke. I averted my gaze and asked Luke, why didn't you tell me you were coming? Luke said, Jason's here. I didn't want to upset you. Besides, don't you have something to do tonight? Yeah. Then let's both do our own thing. I'll find you when I'm done. Okay. I finished my work relatively early. At 8 p.m., I went to Luke's hotel. As soon as I entered, someone grabbed my wrist and dragged me out. Before I could even stand steadily, the smell of alcohol hit me. Jason was drunk, and the way he looked at me was quite frightening. Jennifer, are you so eager? Do your parents know? I asked. Eager for what? You've only known him for a few months, and you're already eager to sleep with him. Isn't that being eager? Jason's voice was loud, drawing everyone's attention. Yet, he still didn't know how to restrain himself. He's not like me, someone you know inside and out. Jennifer, you'd be better off with me than with him. I kicked him hard. It was a powerful kick. It made a dull thud. Watching Jason bend over in pain, I dialed my parents' number and put the phone in front of him. Come on, call my parents and tell them I'm going to sleep with my boyfriend, and you won't let me, and you think I should sleep with you instead. I even personally called his parents and put them on speakerphone. After you're done with them, call your parents again. Their son is so eager to ruin other people's relationships, they should know. Jason's face was very grim. He was breathing heavily, not saying a word. My long-suppressed anger finally erupted. I grabbed his hair and yelled, "Make the call!" Don't make me look down on you. Jason stared at the flashing phone number on the screen, but in the end, he couldn't press the dial button. I let go of his hair and coldly cursed, "Coward, where do you get the confidence to think that I'm dating Luke just to spite you? Is it your not-so-wealthy financial situation and your not-so-smart brain? Now it seems your emotional intelligence is quite low, too." The distant door silently slid open. Jennifer, Luke stood there, holding a bag of hot fried cakes, calling my name. Jason wiped the dust from his face, got up silently, and walked towards Luke. I treated you like a brother, and this is how you treat me. The thrown punch was easily dodged by Luke. Jason fell to the ground. Luke, while helping me open the plastic bag, said with a smile, Jason, who's your brother? Jason was dazed from the fall and was then spotted by the professor who came out from behind. He narrowed his eyes. Jason, have you been drinking? Don't you know there's a seminar tonight? What kind of behavior is this? Luke, looking as if it had nothing to do with him, twisted open a bottle of water for me. Eat less, there's more later. Jason had been pulled aside by his professor for a lecture. It wasn't until we were far away that I burst out laughing. Why did you trip him just now? Be careful, he might report you. Luke couldn't help but smile. I won't do it again next time. By the way, did Jason and Jessica break up? Yes, Jason initiated it. I nodded, saying nothing. The topic was quickly dropped and wasn't brought up again all evening. This should count as my first date with Luke. No one else to interfere, just a date for the two of us. Today's luck wasn't great. The movie screening was delayed by half an hour. By the time the movie ended, it was almost midnight. Luke and I walked hand in hand down the tree-lined avenue. The dappled light was diluted by the tree shadows, making it dim and unclear. Neither of us spoke. As we neared the school, I said, I'm past my curfew. I know. Luke's voice was a little tight. His palm was also a bit warm. I brought my ID. As I said this, my nervous palms were sweating. Luke looked straight ahead. I just reserved a room for you. My face instantly turned crimson. Oh, like that. The atmosphere immediately became awkward. We walked hand in hand back to the hotel. After getting my own key at the front desk, Luke walked me to my door. I'm right across the hall from you. You can call if you need anything. After opening the door, I turned to look at the person still standing in front of the door and called out, Luke. Didn't you say I could call if I needed anything? Luke smiled. Well, do you need anything? I took a step back. Luke. Luke stopped smiling. A few seconds later, he walked up and kissed me. Unlike the fleeting kiss at the school gate, this one was more aggressive. He pushed me inside the door and closed it. The darkness lent a different color to the kiss. Hot breaths mingled, desperately drawing oxygen from our lungs. Until at one point, it ignited with a bang. Brilliant sparks erupted before my eyes. I've waited for this day for so long, Luke said, his voice hoarse, his forehead pressed against mine. What day? The day I can kiss you freely. Through a thin white shirt, I felt Luke's frantic heartbeat. It pounded wildly against my palm. I wanted to say something more, but Luke shushed me and then hugged me tightly. Just be quiet for a moment. It'll be over soon. I wrapped my arms around his neck and slowly buried my head in his chest. Luke, what now? Luke took a deep breath. Do you have to ask at a time like this? How long do you think I can hold out? Feeling my stiff body, Luke smiled and turned on the hallway light. Get some sleep. I'm leaving. This time, I didn't dare call out to him again. The next morning, I was woken by the phone ringing. An unfamiliar voice sneered at me. Jennifer, do you have no shame? What did Jessica ever do to you that you have to steal her boyfriend? I had just woken up and vaguely heard Jessica crying on the other end of the line. Before I could ask what was wrong, she hung up. When I went downstairs for breakfast, I ran into Jason and Jessica. Jessica looked a bit haggard, clutching Jason's sleeve and sobbing, clearly having rushed over overnight. Jason? You promised to be with me. Jason frowned impatiently. You were the one who broke up with me. Have you forgotten? Jessica's face went blank. She suddenly turned to look at me. 2 streams of tears rolled down her cheeks. The young girl who came with her rushed over and pushed me. You're Jessica's best friend, right? Jessica always thought of you as a good friend, but you morally blackmailed her into breaking up with Jason, and then you went to a hotel with Jason. If I don't expose you, I'll take your last name. Jessica bit her lip. Stop it. Don't be like that. The young girl angrily shook off her hand, full of righteous indignation. Don't be afraid. I'm here. No one can bully you. In this girl, I saw a reflection of myself. Many years ago, I also argued with people for Jessica. Later, I learned that not all weak people are kind. She could also be stupid and bad. The girl pulled out her phone. Scared? I've already put you on the internet. Scumbags and sluts belong in the trash. I looked at Jessica with a half smile. Is that what you told her? Jessica, as always, was weak. I'm sorry, Jennifer. I couldn't stop her. I looked at the girl again. You don't know? Jessica instigated me to confess. And on the day of the confession, she got together with Jason. The other party looked indifferent. You think I'll believe that? Where's the evidence? Indeed, Jessica has a habit of making voice calls. There were no chat screenshots left that could serve as evidence. However, the bouquet for the confession was ordered by Jessica, and I happen to have the florist's WeChat. The owner once sent me a screenshot of Jessica's chat with him, asking me to confirm. Your friend ordered flowers for you and wants to write someone else's name? Are you sure? She couldn't be reached, so I had to ask you. In the screenshot, Jessica stated her purpose for ordering the flowers. It was for a friend's confession. The message noted was, "Jason, I like you." The girl fell silent. By now, the post traffic had already surged. People insulting me were endless, and they even quickly dug up my school. I coldly looked at Jessica. If it weren't for this screenshot, all this cyberbullying would have fallen on me. Jessica? Is what she said true? Faced with the girl's questioning, Jessica panicked. I'm sorry. I just didn't want you to hate me. Jessica always has excuses to justify herself. The girl choked, then asked me again, Even so, you can't mess around with Jason in a hotel. As soon as she finished speaking, netizens answered the question for me. Are you mistaken? Yesterday, senior Jennifer was still kissing her boyfriend at the school gate. To be honest, her boyfriend is much handsomer than Jason. I can't figure out why she'd hook up with Jason. Luke appeared not far away and called out to me, Jennifer, what's wrong? The girl looked at Luke, completely bewildered. Senior Luke. Luke hummed and pulled me closer, asking, Why are you here? Her gaze lingered between me and Luke for a moment, realizing she had made a mistake. Nothing, just a small misunderstanding. Luke saw the few people present and understood something, his tone instantly turning cold. Jason, why are your messy affairs with your ex-girlfriend still bothering Jennifer today? I remember Jennifer has rejected you more than once, right? Jason's face was ashen. Yes. The girl looked a bit confused. Why did Jessica say that you wouldn't let her date Jason? I smiled. I broke off all ties with both of them a long time ago. Jessica insisted that I be friends with her before she would continue dating Jason. Then this has nothing to do with you, right? The girl suddenly understood. She owes it herself. When Luke and I left, the girl was yelling at Jessica. Who are you crying like this for? Don't take me for a fool. I sat on a night train with you, and you just lied to me like that. I sighed and asked Luke, Do you know her? Yeah, journalism major. She hasn't even learned the basics of her major yet, but she's already trying to uphold justice like others. Luke squeezed my hand. Let's report it to the school teachers after she clarifies things. The girl's writing was good. Her vivid narrative style caused quite a stir online. Many netizens lamented, You should stay far away from such stupid and evil people. You guys are really miserable. All of you were deceived by her. Jessica was called in by the school teachers for a talk because of this incident. She was depressed all day after returning. Her grades plummeted. Jason's admission qualification was revoked by his favorite advisor because he drunkenly contradicted a professor that day. The day I received a call from my parents, I had just received my graduate school admission letter. Something happened to Jason. What happened? He was run over by a car while crossing the road and is undergoing surgery. The doctor said he might be disabled. The incident was sudden, and it was also when I was preparing my admission materials, so I wasn't in the mood to ask too many questions. It was only later, after a detailed conversation with my parents, that I learned Jason was pushed by Jessica. Jason's parents wanted to sue, but found that Jason had made the first move. They had no grounds. I don't know what happened after that. Their lives have nothing to do with me. That day, Luke landed in Beijing. The afternoon weather was warm, and autumn lingered. I ran out of the taxi, and the wind messed up my carefully styled hair. Luke was sitting lazily on a stone pillar by the roadside, holding a black leather suitcase, his long legs casually crossed, and waved at me. Girlfriend, long time no see. Many years after graduation, Luke and I, despite our busy schedules, returned to our hometown. The class monitor, upon hearing this, insisted on organizing a class reunion. So that evening, I saw Jason and Jessica again. Actually, at first, I didn't recognize Jason. He was very different from back then. Dressed in a suit, wearing a tie, sweating profusely, he limped into the room and handed out business cards to everyone. Oh, Mr. Jason, where are you working now? If it weren't for the class monitor teasing him and calling him Mr. Jason, I wouldn't have recognized that he was Jason at all. Jason looked awkward. A real estate agency? Just barely making a living. If you need anything, come to me, I can give you a discount. Everyone fell silent. These days, being a real estate agent is tough. Most of the small town's agencies have closed down. Jason saw Luke and me, hesitated for a long time, and then asked, "Are you and Luke still in Beijing?" I politely acknowledged, not saying much. The class monitor, however, spilled the beans about both of us. Jennifer and Luke are not ordinary people. They have their own company, started a business in Beijing, and I heard they've made a lot of money over the years. Jason became even more flustered. He kept his head down, drinking silently the whole time. Jessica, on the other hand, was busy fiddling with her phone, looking dazed. The girl next to her, seeing me staring, quickly stopped me. "I know you two used to be good friends, but I advise you not to worry." The last person who stood up for her was already terribly harmed. I was stunned. "What do you mean?" Last year, Jessica borrowed 200,000 yuan from her best friend for a man. Later, the man ran off, and her best friend got sick. Jessica couldn't pay the money back and watched helplessly as her best friend's condition worsened. Her family took her to the provincial capital for treatment. She's an ungrateful wretch, completely blinded by love. Whoever helps her will only suffer. "How do you know about this?" "Oh," Jason told me. I nodded, not asking for details. My heart was a mix of emotions. Midway through the party, I went to the restroom and then stepped out into the backyard for some fresh air. "Jennifer," Jason's voice came from behind me. My body stiffened, and I was about to leave. Jason quickly said, "Don't be scared. I just want to talk to you. I have nothing to talk about with you." Seeing my complete lack of interest, Jason quickly said, "I regret it. If I could do it all over again, I definitely wouldn't choose to be with Jessica. If that day hadn't happened, if it had been you, maybe today I would have." He spoke quickly, as if afraid that if he waited another second, I wouldn't hear his confession. I stopped in my tracks and looked back at him. "Jason, do you really think your life is like this just because you had a wrong relationship?" I ignored Jessica, who was eavesdropping in the corner, and said, "Your grades, life plans, abilities, intelligence, and vision are far more important than the relationship you think you had. The reason you're unhappy is because you yourself are unhappy, not because others have made you unhappy. Jessica owes you nothing. And don't blame everything on women. A classmate just told me that Jessica hasn't been doing well these past few years, and a large part of the reason is Jason's revenge. He was unwilling to accept that his fate was ruined by Jessica, so he desperately spread gossip about her, hoping to make her unable to find a foothold." A classmate was tapping on the window, roughly indicating that it was time to leave. I left the silent Jason and turned to leave. As I passed Jessica, she seemed to want to say something to me. I ignored her, walked through the private room, and followed the main group out. Night fell, and Luke stood under the street lamp, holding my bag and coat, waiting for me. Seeing me approach, he hooked his arm, letting me take it. He smiled and said, "Jessica said she wanted to apologize to you. Did you see her?" "I saw her, but I ignored her." I pursed my lips, not in a very good mood. Unconsciously, we walked to the entrance of our high school. Many years had passed, but the scenery remained the same. An old, broken cart covered with a tarp was parked in the corner. That was the snack stall Jessica and I frequented the most. After all these years, it was still there. Luke touched my head. Thinking about the past? Yeah. The day before high school graduation, I fell while delivering a trophy to Luke. Jessica was waiting for me at the school gate with 2 skewers of grilled chicken wings. She had grown up with her grandmother then and didn't have much pocket money. Seeing me hobble out, she pulled out all her change and told Jason to buy disinfectant, specifically instructing him to buy the best. Her anxious demeanor made Jason frown. When they left, it was as if, "You two should just be together," was etched on his face. That was the last time we saw each other in high school. After that day, we each went our separate ways to our own futures. Later, after some unpleasant events, we became strangers. Why do people change, do you think? Luke said, "The older people get, the more they understand what they want." Maybe she suddenly realized that you were no longer important to her. The wind blew, and Luke's words scattered into the boundless night. I pouted and whispered, "That was the last time I helped her." "All right, this is the last time." I pulled Luke along again, walking into the distance. Our conversation faded into the wind. "Luke, when did you realize what you wanted?" "I always knew." "Huh? How do you know I haven't been secretly in love with someone for many years? But we almost missed our chance." "It doesn't matter. I would always find my way to you."